Hello everybody, my name's James, welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek16 Deadline stream, and it's live, and over the next 55 minutes I'll try and answer as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the last FPL Deadline until after Christmas. Boo, sad, but we'll be covering the World Cup throughout and moaning about the fact that it's in Qatar. Get your questions in the chat. I will get through as many of them as I can, as I said, in the next 55 minutes or so. Before I do, firstly, let me take you through the graphics on stream, because that may answer many of your questions. Top right hand corner, you will see my team as it stands. No intention to change it. I've made one free transfer. Ibrahima Konate is in for Matt Doherty. I don't have another one. The intention, subject to Manchester City team news, would be to move captaincy from Haaland to Salah or bring Schumacher into the team instead of Foden. If there's no concrete news, or I think those two Man City players are going to play, then the team stays as it is, and it's a very bench boostable bench. But no, I'm not going to do that, because I'm sure it's going to fall into our laps where we'll have a double game week with all 20 teams doubling later in the season, so that's not a consideration. I line up Pope, Trippier, Trent, Konate. Yes, double Liverpool defensive. Just for my insanity. João Cancelo, Mo Salah, Phil Foden, Marcus Rashford, Gabriel Martinelli. Dominic Solanke gets the nod over Gianluca Schumacher, and Haaland currently captain. Below that, you'll see my top captaincy picks in order of preference. Realistically, I think that's the right order. Haaland, Salah, De Bruyne, Kane. Anything else is wild. I don't mind if you fancy it, but anything else is pretty wild. Predictions to the left of me. The one that might surprise is the Tottenham prediction. Yes, I think Leeds might get something at White Hart Lane today. At the very bottom of the screen, you'll see the next 5 fixtures for all 20 teams. That might be handy for those already thinking about Unlimited, because it obviously showed the first 4 fixtures from Game Week 17 onwards. For example, Bournemouth at home to Everton, and then they've got the 4 fixtures: Chelsea, Palace, United, Brentford after Unlimited. And above that, you'll see the benching dilemma screen, which is right below me here, where there's a choice between 2 players, and the player with a tick is the preferred option to start out of those 2 players. I'll take you through that now. Zaha over Solanke, over Perisic, over Schumacher, over Tony. Page 2, Tony over Bailey, over Eze, over Andreas Pereira, over Luke Shaw. Page 3, Shaw over Castagne, over Cresswell, over Sven Botman, over Crescencio. Somerville. Page 4, Somerville over Dunk, over Gay, over Cody, over Nico Williams. I imagine many of you have actually got benching dilemmas this week, is going to be my guess. And finally, just to show you the keepers, Pope over Pickford, Pickford over Sanchez, Sanchez over Henderson, Henderson over Danny Ward. I was asked by someone about Vicente Gator this morning. I would place Gator between Sanchez and Dean Henderson. That's your graphics. Let's get right into the questions then. Let's start with whoever is first. Kia says, after yesterday's price changes, I lost out by 0.1 to go Nunes and Solanke for Mitrovic and Wilson for 2 free transfers. Should I get more and bench him for Pereira, or get Jesus and Solanke? No issues except City boys. I'd go Jesus and Solanke, mate. And Kia also says, have a great weekend, and I wish you a great weekend too, my friend. Tom Dart says, hi James, loved the World Cup squad podcast this week. Thank you, mate. Would you do Wilson to Nunes or Mitrovic to Martial? Wilson to Nunes, Mitrovic to Martial. Would you play Doherty or Andreas? I don't think Doherty will start. The only way I think Doherty starts is if neither Richarlison or Kulusevski are fit to start, which is a possibility. In which case I think Perisic plays up front again and Doherty will play left wing back. But no, I would play Andreas. I've just sold Doherty, so that would be my take. I'd rather go Mitrovic to Martial, because I think we know Mitrovic is not going to play. I think you're pretty sick if you move Wilson to Nunes if he does play. My instinct at this moment is that Wilson may not, but I note the interesting tweet from Newcastle, kind of hyping up the game tomorrow, which had a kind of a video of Wilson celebrating and stuff, and I thought that might be a little bit telling that he might start actually. I would make the Martial move, which, just a note on Martial, because I know there's a lot of considering him, and I think Ronaldo's snivels probably suggest that he probably does start, would be my take. I think it's a case, though, that most people are going there because the other options very suddenly, where it looked like we had Calvert-Lewin, Tony, Schumacher, Wilson, all look great, and it's like, oh, I can't go to any of them now. So I think those looking for Martial is probably because they can't get to Darwin Núñez, which is completely understandable. And I think he's probably, yeah, if I was to punt in and around that value, couldn't get up to Jesus or Darwin, yeah, it probably would be Anthony Martial at the moment, I think. Vivek Gore says, hi James, would you take a hit to do Foden to Kulusevski? No, I wouldn't. I note that Paul O'Keefe had Kulusevski in his predicted lineup. I don't. I think Richarlison is the more likely to start of the two. I think it's probable, as obviously Paul's tweeted, that it could be both. I think he may look at it because of fitness concerns around players that he needs an impact substitute. And I think Kulusevski is probably behind Richarlison fitness-wise, despite returning earlier, because Kulusevski had a couple of setbacks and they're probably taking it a bit easier with him. So I would not be buying Kulusevski. Listen, if he starts and he does well and you don't buy him, fine, come for me. But that particular transfer, Vivek, you're looking at moving a Manchester City player at home to Brentford for a Tottenham player that we don't even know for sure is going to start. Not for me, mate. Literally, that move never went through my mind for a second. Ben Eddington says, morning mate, let the chaos ensue. Yes, and we should say on that point, this week feels a little bit kind of easier, maybe, because we're more prepared to know what's going to come. Look, if Team News and Ticks has something on Instagram at kind of 10:40 or 10:45, whatever, and I don't know if he will or he won't, it's highly likely the site is going to crash again. Highly likely. I think the only way it doesn't is if Haaland is known. If Haaland's known to start, then that's fine, isn't it? But even then, you may have a lot of people rush to buy him back. So I wouldn't be surprised if the site crashes, and I think we should all be prepared for that and accept it's a possibility. Emily Sissoni says, brought in Grealish for Foden last week in hopes of getting 2 starts. Do you think Grealish starts? If not, who would you move on first? Grealish to Silva, Rashford, or Schumacher to Watkins, Martial? Do I think Grealish will start? Yes. I note that Luke Williams, disabled, who's unbelievable at predicting City lineups, didn't have Grealish in his predicted lineup. You can look at his team, FFScout_Luke on Twitter. Other than that, we had the other 10 the same. So I think he had Gundogan in the team and I had Grealish. That was the only difference, and I had Foden on the right and he had Foden on the left. Grealish to Silva, Rashford, no. Schumacher to Watkins, Martial. Schumacher to Martial, maybe. Keir says, do you think Richarlison is likely to get the World Cup Golden Boot? Also, what players do you think will be in that race? No, I'd be very surprised if Richarlison won the Golden Boot. Is he even a likely starter for Brazil? I guess that's got to be doubtful, isn't it? Surely, particularly even bearing in mind his fitness as well. Mbappe would be the favourite for me, I think, mate. Mbappe or arguably even Benzema, the French boys. Vivek Gore says, play Gay or Doherty. I would have played Gay because I think he will play. Prabish says, morning James, no questions today. Good luck for Gameweek 16 and to you too, mate. Very best of luck. Obezri says, what you think of Edouard and Wilson chances? I think Wilson is more likely to start of the two at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if neither started. Edouard, we know, has travelled to Nottingham. We do know that he has travelled, but a decision was going to be made this morning, so none of us have got the intel to know one way or the other. My instinct would be Zaha will stay up front, and they'll probably play the same team. Wilson is going to be how he feels, right? If he feels 100%, he'll play. If he doesn't, he won't. And again, what do we know? We don't. FPL Finding Glory says, morning James, Wilson replacement for up to 8.4 million. I'm thinking punt on Richarlison or maybe Martial. I think Richarlison is similar to Kulusevski. Not for me. Probably prefer Martial. Or should be sensible and go for Jesus or Wood even. Thanks, mate. Not Chris Wood. No. Jesus, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, it's boring, but yeah, that's where I'd go. None of the others guaranteed to start in any way. Shriniket says, bringing Darwin in, have Haaland. Which is better amongst these for getting and starting? A, Trossard and Marshall. B, Zaha and Alvarez. C, Eze, Gross and Jesus. I think it's probably the Trossard and Martial route, I think. Tim Kresner, best 9.8 million or under midfielder, not from City or Arsenal, for 1 week. Bruno Fernandes. Is he under? I think he's under, isn't he? You go. Listen, Bruno Fernandes would be a terrible buy in FPL, right? But it's 1 week. 1 week. Yeah. Why not? Why not Bruno? Especially against a Fulham that's going to be missing Harrison Reed through suspension. Kenny Tate is missing as well. I don't think it's quite such an issue. Harrison Reed's going to be missing in midfield. Could be an issue. Admittedly, Paulinho will know his game very well. obviously international teammates. But why not Bruno for 1 week if that's the money you've got? Kenneth Vaz says, hi James, I'm either going to do Mitro to Martial or just burn the transfer. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Cheers. I can see no reason, Kenneth, why you wouldn't make that transfer. Fulham have confirmed now that Mitrovic is out. So I'd see no reason why you wouldn't make the transfer, mate. Unless you've got big value in Mitrovic somehow. Ian says, hi James, evening from Melbourne, Australia. Who had the best hair in the 90s for Spurs? Walsh, Walker or Barmby? Jesus Christ. I'm going to say Nick Barmby. Your favourite Arsenal Cup loss? Wrexham, Barcelona or Chelsea Europa League? It's definitely not Chelsea Europa League. And to be honest, I put Chelsea in the Champions League in 2004 above that because I really thought they were going to go on and win the trophy that year. So I'd put that above the Europa League final. Wrexham 92 was pretty funny, but I wasn't watching it live. I was listening to the radio back in the day. I suppose, yeah, it's probably Barca 06. I'd put Zaragoza 95 in there as well. Michael Owen 2001 Cup final. A few others to consider. Manchester United in the Champions League semi-final as well. Fucking went mental when Ronaldo scored that free kick. It was so stunning when it went in at the Emirates. So there's a few alternatives for you, mate. James Russell says, morning, James. Happy with my team, barring any team news. Used one of my 2 free transfers already. Pope to Alice in question. I have Trippier. Thanks, mate. Bother, mate. There's every chance Newcastle will keep a clean sheet today, mate. Wouldn't bother. It's punting a fixture, isn't it? Newcastle showing to be better defensively than Liverpool, haven't they? So, no, wouldn't bother. Use your use one of your free transfers. No, I'd explore something else. What I'd do, James, in your situation as well, is obviously only sell a player that you don't have value held in. And Nick Pope is probably someone you do have value held in. So I'd look at the players where you've got no value held, because you may want Pope on unlimited as well, right? So if you sell him now for 1 week, we're not even sure that's a good transfer. If you, I want Pope, you can pay an extra for him. So at this stage, if you're that unsure, only sell players that you don't have value built up in. Declan Burns says, hi James, would you do Wilson to Martial and play Gay? Or Doherty to Karate and hope Wilson plays? Pereira first sub. Yeah, that's ideal. That's exactly what Andreas Pereira's for. So Doherty to Kanate, mate. Pushkar says, I have an extra free transfer in my hand. Should I move Pope to another keeper? 5.4 million in the bank. I'm thinking Ramsdale. I think it's the same thing, right? If you've got value in Pope, mate, look somewhere else. Not overly keen. I've predicted Newcastle for clean sheet today, so. Alistair Coper says, hey, mate, if we assume Alvarez starts, let's not assume. Would you go Alvarez, Saka and Perisic, or Darwin, Solanke and Rashford? Cheers and come you Spurs. Arguably go the second option. I don't know why we'd assume that Alvarez does start, because Pep made some comments about them playing together. Yeah, they may do. Brett W says, hey James, 2 free transfers and no idea what to do. Thoughts on Wilson to Jesus or Foden to Saka? Can only bring in one Arsenal. Wilson to Jesus, I think, from the 2. Personally, I think Foden starts. That could obviously be wrong. I've got no intel or anything, but I think he starts, having had the break in midweek. And it's gambler's fallacy, but I think he plays. Berticus says, got 2 free transfers thanks to the deadline shambles. Want to upgrade Mitrovic to Darwin Núñez, but to fund it, need to downgrade Foden, Cancelo or Zaha. Which one, or should I just forget Darwin and go elsewhere? Personally, elsewhere, mate. I wouldn't move Zaha now. I know he's troll people, but if he's going to play up front again, and with a better fixture than he had last week, I would not be moving him. So I'd leave it. I'd look elsewhere. Ben Eddington says Wilson to Núñez or Mitrovic to Jesus. Feeding the Núñez punt. It's going to be the opposite though, mate. Move the player out that you know is not going to play. Pete Haley says, hi James, best punt on a defender. Under 5.6. Not from Arsenal or Manchester City. The one I've gone from, Ibrahima Konate, Liverpool, 4.8. Almost certain to play. See zero reason why he won't play. Joel Matip won't be risked. I don't think they want to risk Joe Gomez. So Ibrahima Konate, 4.8 at Liverpool. That's where I've gone with my money, mate. LH says, Dallo to Perisic, James. How you think he'll do today? Cheers. Well, like I said, I think he'll probably play left wing back. I think he only plays through the middle in the circumstance that neither Richarlison or Kulusevski are fit to start, which is a possibility. And I think, look, he's probably money, no object. In terms of punt, he's probably the best this week of the defensive players, I would imagine. Would I buy him personally over Robertson or Trent if I had the money? No. Or Cancelo? No. Or even Trippier? No. But if you're in and around that value, then I think Perisic. So, I mean, actually, to go back to Pete Haley's point, best punt on defender under 5.6, not from Arsenal or Man City. Perisic is 5.5, isn't he, Pete? So, Perisic, to be totally honest. Live a little, right? Live a little. Birth Media says, James, talk to me about Martial and Kanate for Mitrovic and Cole Walker-Peters on 2 free transfers. I don't think I need to talk to you about it, mate. Just do it. Ripwit Via says, Foden and Williams out for Martinelli and Perisic for -4. Don't have any Arsenal attacker. Nah, wouldn't bother, mate. 1 week. Phil Foden might outscore the other 2, mate, if he plays. I wouldn't bother. Honestly, wouldn't bother. I'd look at something else for a free transfer. Ali Bismo says, hi, James. Would you do Mitrovic to Martial? Got lots of Mitrovic to Martials. Let's just, guys, if we've got a Mitrovic to Martial, can we just delete it and just assume the answer is yes? Mitrovic to Martial or Mitrovic and Wilson to Solanke and Darwin for a hit. No, not for a hit. For free, I'd have said, yeah, not for the hit, mate. Again, he's slightly dependent on your bench, but I'm going to presume you've got like at least one good option, like a Pereira. It's fine, mate. Miena Sidoms. I think that's a key point on -4s, right? A lot of you will have Pereiras, Baileys, maybe even like Gays, Palace defenders. They're good this week, right? Why take a -4 when you've got good options sitting on the bench? Seriously. Ali Bismo says, hi, James, would you do? That's what we've done. Miena says, morning from Canada, James. I've got a Canada pod coming up on Patreon this week for you, mate. Ward or Raya and Andreas or Solanke? Ward or Raya? We're not buying Raya away to Man City, are we? Andreas or Solanke? I'm not sure I understand the question here, mate. Ward or Raya and Andreas or Solanke? Well, I presume this is to start. Right, okay. Ward over Raya. Solanke over Andreas for me. Alistair Hargreaves, hi James, haven't really got an obvious transfer today. Only one possible is Solanke to Martial. Not Kane. Not Kane. To be honest, not Kane. Solanke certainly has talisman nature. If we think of it like this, although we're saying like Mitrovic to Martial, yeah, I'll just do it. Yeah, I mean Mitrovic definitely not going to play. If Ronaldo is fit, does Martial even start? Does he start? Now, I know it could be like Rashford right and then Martial on the left, maybe. There's a possibility. But do we even want that? I'm not sure. I think it's an obvious one for Mitrovic owners who haven't really got the money knocking about. For that one, I'm just not so sure, to be honest. Michael Lewis says, hi, James. Martial or Firmino as a 1 week punt to replace Mitrovic. Only have 8.2, so can't go Darwin Núñez or an even wilder Richarlison pick. Firmino for me, mate. Yeah. Very clear on that. I mean, he's the sort of one I'd always go, nah, not great FPL asset. But 1 week, good home fixture. Firmino, mate. Vivek Gore says, would you take a hit to do Doherty to Perisic? No. Elvino says, hi, James. Mitrovic to Darwin and Doherty to Luke Thomas. It's 4.2 available. We should play Luke Thomas, yeah. And play either him or Gay. Or go Mitrovic to Darwin and Wilson to Martial. Mitrovic to Darwin, Wilson to Martial. Thanks for the great content. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the second one as well, as long as they're frees. As long as they're free. Sounds like you can get Darwin either way, mate. So, that's the priority. I wouldn't worry so much about the other one. Pushkar says, would you travel to Qatar if the cost was half and you have an England knockout game ticket in hand? A lot of European boycotts coming in. What's your take? Doesn't hold any interest in me to go to that place, mate. Like, literally none. So, no. I would say... if it was just flight in and out, do the game, like if you land like 5-6 hours before kickoff or something, and then a flight literally straight out the country, then yeah, possibly. You'd have to be bloody cheap though. Literally no consideration for me at all, mate. Kartik Rao, someone could put a free ticket in my hand and I wouldn't go looking for flights, mate. Kartik Rao says Dalot and Firmino/Wilson to Shaw and Martial. Or Robertson and Alvarez, depending on team news. Which one? I wouldn't be selling Firmino right now, mate. Wouldn't be doing it. I'm going to guess you can't go Dalot to Shaw in 1 move. There's plenty you can consider, right? Cheapies. For 1 week, if you need like cover for Dalot. wouldn't be selling Firmino right now, mate. Uros Milicevic says, good morning, James. Would you do Wilson and Mitrovic for Darwin and Solanke for a -4? Good luck this week. No, well, it's difficult to say with Wilson, is it? Because if Wilson doesn't play, then the -4 is right. If he does, it isn't. It's as simple as that. My instinct is he doesn't play, but I think you'd be sick if you do it, and he does. Fuck it, it's 1 week, do it. Stephen Moore says, hi James, thinking of doing Diaz and Mitrovic to Konate and Jesus for a hit. You have no defence cover for Diaz, and Andreas is only fit sub. Move Diaz if benched and start Andreas or take the hit. Chances are you're not going to know about Diaz, mate. I'm afraid. So can you move something else in that back line rather than Diaz? You're saying you've got no cover, so what's the cover? You know, can you get to like Luke Thomas, 4.2, something like that? Just squeeze something in that's really likely to play. I think Patterson comes back into the Everton team today. Can you squeeze something like that in rather than selling Diaz, who, if he was in the team, you'd want to keep, right? Yeah, I'd be considering alternatives, Stephen, personally. Zaris says, I have 2 free transfers. One is Mitchell out. Options for this game week for forward and midfielder. 14.3 million available to 2 spots. Darwin Núñez and just spend the money on somewhere else, whatever else you can. That'd be my take. Ethan Hood says, hi James, what you make of Jed Spence the other night? Alright, he got coached through it at the end. Lively. He had this brilliant little kind of 40-yard run and won a free kick quite soon after he come on. He also nearly scored actually with a header, and I think that has been one of the concerns, like will he get into the box at the back post and stuff, and he did that and nearly scored. To be honest, it was our best effort the second half actually. So yeah, like I see, look, he's young, he's raw. I'd want him to play. I'd stick him in the team right now. I wouldn't think twice about it. The only way he's going to get to know the position is by playing with his teammates. There was no relationship with him and Kulusevski in terms of chemistry or understanding each other's games. They're only going to build that by playing together or training together. And if they've not been training together, then he's got no chance. And that's on the manager. John Mensa says, hey James, you're one of the best creators around. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Play Solanke or take a pump by swapping Schumacher for Martial. It's just play Solanke for me, mate. That's what I've decided to do. By the way, guys, I am keeping an eye on various sources. I've got literally the phone open while I'm talking to you. So if anything comes in, I will be as quick as I can to get that information to you. But we've got nothing on Manchester City to share. Currently, remember, they are obviously the 12:30 kickoff today. Riley O'Hagan says, which 8 million midfielder would you take a punt on? Saka, I think probably first choice. Foden, if you know he's going to play actually even better. Maddison, he's just a form horse, isn't he? Why not? Why not James Maddison? Optimus Prime says KDB will not play. Best player to bring in for -4. If you know that KDB is not going to play, like, crack on, mate. I'm not even going to give you an answer for that until we have something definitive. I'm not even sure I'd take a -4 for anyone to sell KDB. Another one you've probably got value in, mate. Florentine P says, hi James, go Mr. Perisic or Konate. Look, if Perisic is affordable, Perisic, I think punt it for the week, yeah. He could play up front. I don't think he will, but he could. Mark Jones says, morning James, do you think having Salah captain, Kane and KDB can cover any potential losses from not having Haaland? It's like predicting a third of your team, mate. I don't know. The thing is, like, those who do have Haaland a lot are going to have possibly even two of those as well, right? So I think you'll know my opinion would be if it looks like he's going to play, he's captain for me, mate. Jay Barker says, hey James, best defender punt up to 5.2 million. Torn between Gabriel, Akanji, Ake, Konate. Thanks. Konate for me, I think, for the 1 week. I think Arsenal have great prospects of a clean sheet tonight, but I do think the kind of night atmosphere and the narrative around Lopetegui is he's not managing the team tonight, but he's there. The players met him yesterday. There's got to be a little bit of extra motivation from Wolves, even if Arsenal 2-3 up to potentially get something and not get battered. So Konate for me. Now you could make the same narrative admittedly for Southampton, obviously with Nathan Jones in charge. Southampton haven't scored in any of their last 5 visits to Anfield. They've lost 2-0 twice, 3-0 once and 4-0 twice. Have that for a stat. Mark Jones says, No, that's what we've done. Sorry. Dara Sam Maguire, thanks for your message, mate, but I'm not going to read your whole team out because, to be honest, it's really difficult for others to follow without a visual. Jim says, yay, no audio issues. Good, isn't it? Amber Redmond says, morning, that is all. Good luck, you two, sweetheart. Galazzo says, start Andreas Justin to Zinchenko or start Gay Mitrovic to Jesus. What's going on here? Start Andreas Justin to Zinchenko is fine, cool. Or start Gay. Starting Gay is fine. Mitrovic Jesus is fine. Starting Andreas is fine. Everything there's fine, mate. Keza FPL out if 10. How excited are you for the World Cup? Right now, probably about, I would presume 10's highest. About 3 or 4. This time next week, probably nearer sort of a 6 or 7. But it's just the whole thing just feels wrong. I have nothing on my mind, really, other than helping you guys out now and going to Tottenham this afternoon. And I don't think the World Cup even dawns on me really till tomorrow, particularly. Obviously, we did content on it yesterday, so it's in my mind. If we hadn't done that podcast yesterday, I think I'd hardly be thinking about it at all. Gerenden88 says Salah or Darwin. I mean, look, if you can buy Mo, right? Static says, morning, James. Hope you're well, mate. Shamaka out for Martial, Solanke or Morpay. Coming down to Solanke kind of feels wrong, I want to say, to be honest. Kind of feels wrong. Right, we might have some info incoming. Team News and Ticks is saying 10:45. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Rob. And thank you, the Quarto boy. Thank you very much. Tim Kresner as well. Thank you, guys, for sharing that. So, Team News Ticks, 10:45 information. Wasn't he 5 minutes earlier last week? This shit is definitely crashing, mate. It's literally... There's literally no doubt about it, is there? Oh dear, what a state. Right, let's try and power through some of these. Big Geek says, no questions today, James. Best of luck to you. Great content. As always, give it a like, guys. Thanks very much. Yeah, okay, about 10% of you watching live have pressed the like button, which costs absolutely nothing. Smash a like, hit the subscribe button. This is free content, guys. Just press the thumb if you're enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, piss off. Otherwise, press the thumb button. It's quite straightforward. Kartik says, 1 week punt as DCL replacement, please. All the best, James. Look, if you can go to Nunez, that's the preference. Then after that, I think Firmino. Then after that, if you want to be at that value, it probably does look like Martial at the moment, I think. Or obviously Jesus, I'd put above that as well. There's your ones, I think, mate. And with DCL, you should be in and around that value. Mayank says, hi, James. Who should I bring in? Zaha, Trossard, or Rashford? Zaha, Trossard. I'd go Zaha right now. At this moment in time. That would be my take. Luke B says, Garnacho worth a punt at 4.3. We're talking about Martial a lot, Luke. I don't think he'll start, to be totally honest. If you want a midfielder at that value, you're not going to start it anyway, so it wouldn't matter, I don't think. Bronian Bronze says, if we get no City news, would I keep Haaland and Alvarez and transfer Wilson to Jesus or transfer Alvarez to Martial? I think unless there's news, well, we know there is going to be news. Do you know what? There's no point even answering it, is there? You're going to do whatever you do on the news, aren't you, mate? Pushkar says, how shameless are the official FPL team to not even apologise for the server fuck-ups? Let you know in about half hour, mate, when it happens again. They're not going to, mate. Would you want to publicise bad news for, mate? They haven't got a responsibility. The game's free. Reality, should they be better? Yeah, but it's a free game. Nejerd says, got a dilemma. Wilson swap to Martial and play Raya versus City, or replacing my goalkeeper and trust that Wilson starts. I mean, I wouldn't take a -4 for your goalkeeper. If you can make a free transfer or play Ward instead, I would probably do that. Ben Edinson says bench one of Gay or Webster. Villa, although small sample, seems to score under Emery. Yeah, it's a very small sample of 2 games, mate. And they haven't played a team like Brighton. Very close. Look, I've got Dunk 1 place above Gay on the bench in dilemmas, and you'd argue Dunk is a bit more of an attacking threat than Webster, but I would give the same answer. I would go Webster to start. Jonathan Brown says 1 free transfer, 7.8 to spend. Who would you get? Already got Solanke. It's Martial probably, isn't it? Zaris says, why Pope instead of Ward? I mean, 2 defenders against Chelsea, Leicester and good run. Why not, my friend? I fancy them for a clean sheet and not Leicester. So there we go. Big Geek says, Gabriel Jesus nowhere to be seen on Captaincy ticket. Is a surprise. Is he out? No. It's not a case of that. It's just, I don't think he's really shown... He's a super player. I don't think he's shown us the fantasy potential to really haul. Whereas a Saka or Martinelli, 1 goal could be 11 points. That's it. That's all it is. Like, if you want to captain Jesus, go for it, mate. But realistically, are you going to? No. Who should I leave out instead of Jesus on that? That's all. You know, you make a case. If I knew Richarlison would start, maybe Richarlison be on there, for example. There's plenty of good names I've left off there. Plenty of good names. Ali Boskurt says, hi James, loving these deadline day streams. I want to go punty this week. So Mitrovic and Martinelli out for Kulusevski and Firmino for -4. False. Again, what I said previously on Mitrovic, can't overly recommend it, to be honest, mate. I'm afraid. It's a no for me. And you're going to lose all that value in Martinelli if you bought him at the start. You're up 0.8 if you've had him since game week 1. And I have to factor that in when I don't know where you're at with value, so I've got to say no. FPL Claire says, hey, James, no Haaland. DCL and Mitrovic for Martial and Jesus, or Darwin and Solanke -4. I prefer the Darwin and Solanke, to be honest, Claire. Ben Edinson says, Arsenal fan friend of mine took me to their League Cup game. Brighton are some team. Mitoma electric, but also Sarmiento is lively. Michael Bianchi says, hi, James, would you go Kane to Darwin for free? Thanks for the content. No, keep Harry, mate. P. Macca says, morning fella, not going to be on wildcard streams with work. You and the fam have a nice Xmas fella. You too, mate. Take care. Patrick Lawson says, best starting replacement for me this week. Max 5.6. It is Ivan Perisic or Ibrahima Konate for me if you don't already own. Ryan Renfrey says, hi mate, thanks for the content as always. Really enjoying my first few weeks as a patron. Love you, my friend. Couldn't recommend it enough. You are too kind. I have 0.0 in the bank with 1 free transfer. Wilson to Solanke or Martial or any other forward. I want to say, Ryan, look elsewhere. I just think you'd be sick if Wilson starts. And you could move Wilson to Martial, Wilson starts and Martial don't. But then removing it to Solanke, it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Maybe that's price consciousness. It doesn't feel right. I think of the two, I'd gamble Martial. Craig G says, great content this week, James. Thank you very much, mate. It's much appreciated. Bronian Brun says, if we get team news that Haaland starts, which will probably mean no Alvarez, should I sell Alvarez to Martial or Wilson to Jesus? Well, if you know that Alvarez is not going to play, then it's that, isn't it? Richard J says, morning, worth switching Wilson Foden to Nunes Eze. For me, that's a no on moving Foden unless it's something concrete. It's not gone through my mind. Ryan Renfrey, or 4.6 million defence swap Egg Dunk to Ben White. I probably prefer that sort of move, Ryan, to be honest. Yeah, probably prefer that sort of move. Although there's every chance Brighton keep a clean sheet this way. I'd probably fancy, I think Brighton will give up opportunities. I would say that. Tarun Morali says, morning James, I've got Salah and Firmino. Planning to bring in Haaland for a hit and captain if he's starting. If not, would you do 1, Mitrovic to Darwin, or 2, Johnny to Robbo? Cheers. Mitrovic to Darwin, I think, mate. Upside's a bit better. Peter Carroll says, good morning James. Is it a weekend for non-World Cup bound players? It might be, but we've never been in this position before, so I don't think we've got a way of knowing or understanding what the context is for certain players. Like, I don't think James Maddison's going to play any differently today. I think he's going to understand that he needs to keep pushing because now he wants to get in the team. Elvino says, hi James, bench Mitrovic and remove Wilson for Darwin and Doherty to Ben White and play 4-4-2. No Arsenal defence currently. Cheers. Sounds fine to me, mate. Brony and Bronze, start 1 and rank the bench order for the rest. Wilson, Gay, Andreas, Patterson. Start Wilson, mate. Love a player, he won't. Could he be a sub? Yeah, but I'd probably play him, to be honest, mate. The rest, I'd go Andreas over Gay and Patterson last. I think Patterson will play, but he might not. Connor Hooley says, morning, do I play the Irish Cafu or do I take a hit? Probably for Perisic, we have 6.6 to spend. Join late, apologies if it's been covered. For a hit, no. He's obviously referring to Doherty. You got nothing else on your bench, mate. Can you not just play Andreas or something like that? Ragav says Zaha, Trossard, Almiron or Martial. Which one of these will just play Trippier White instead? Why would you not just play Kieran Trippier every single week as it stands, mate? Honestly, why would you not just play? And there's nothing wrong playing Ben White either. From them, though, if you're desperate, Zaha. Hayley Beck says, morning, James. Hope you're well. Would you take a hit? Trossard to Martinelli? No. Sam Baxendale, start 2 of Shamaka, White or Konate. The two centre-backs for me currently, yeah. Simon says, should I do Alvarez to Nunes now or risk waiting for City team news? Me, I'll do it now. Personally. Sorry, in advance. Brandon Maburia says, should I do Mitrovic to Martial, Solanke or Doherty to White, Canate and bench Mitrovic? Well, Mitrovic isn't going to play, mate. So that's the obvious one, I think. He's that one. Jared Coleman, Mitrovic to Richarlison and Martial. I'm going to say Martial. Tom Ramsden. Hi, James. Would you buy Alisson and Martial or Gator and Jesus for 2 free transfers? I'd go Jesus route, personally. Helen Bettersworth, morning. Here's an exciting transfer question. White or Canate? I've gone Canate. Nish Nose Ball, would you do Trippier to Trent? Also for benching dilemmas, are the ticked ones the ones you would start? Yes, as covered at the start, my friend, but no, I would not make the transfer. Think of that value you got in trips as well. Ninda Das says, hi James, hope you're doing well. Do you think Aston Villa has turned the corner and will score goals now? If yes, should I go for Bailey, Ramsey in and Xhaka out? No, wouldn't bother. I mean, I don't mind Bailey for Xhaka. If you've got no value there and stuff, it's fine, but I wouldn't overly be fussed. And it's too small a sample on Villa, right? We suddenly think, what, Unai Emery is going to be this ultra attacking offensive team. No, you've seen 2 games against Manchester United. Lenan Nguyen, sorry if I mispronounced that. Hi James, afternoon from Vietnam. Shamaka or Andreas and why? Thank you. Shamaka, I still think he starts. That would be my take, slight preference. Andreas is, look, he could be on pens. He almost will be on, definitely will be on pens, won't he? Be on a lot of the set pieces. But it's no Mitrovic, there's no Harrison Reed as well. He could even play a slightly deeper position, so a no from me. Shamaka would be the answer. Alan says, hey man, why do you think is the best option for Mitrovic? I have Kane and Solanke with De Bruyne in midfield. I think I'm going to have to start skipping these ones. Let's just say Nunes and assume it's affordable for you. Jan Remy Nielsen looking to get my transfers done long before any team leaks today. Suleiman Ali, Mitrovic and Wilson to Jesus and Solanke. Fine if they're for free. Definitely worth considering if they're -4 if you don't think Wilson will start. Jan says Mitrovic to Watkins or Anderson to Canate. It's Mitrovic to Watkins from that. DJ Music Case, 520 people in the stream and only 50 likes. Oh, it's about 208 now. I can't people smash the like and support the stream. Yeah, if you jumped in late, it's about 600 plus now. So that means there's about 33% of you smashed the like now. So 66% of you don't know how to press a button. So appreciate it. It's free content, guys. Joe Milkshake says, rank these for my bench order, please. Webster, Andreas, Gay. Replace Dunk with Webster on the bench in dilemmas and then you'll find your answer, mate. Cheers, mate. Also, I've punted on Richarlison this week, so I hope he gets you a big win. I hope he gets you a big win as well, mate. Owen Jones says, feeling Alvarez to Morpay. Because I have exact money and it's a 1 week bit of fun waiting on City news. I mean, there's fun and then there's something altogether else. I wish you the very best of luck if you do that, mate. Thank you, Stewie. Brian, Away Safdar says, hi James, start Shaw or Gay. Sure. Adam says, Zaha, Mitoma, Somerville, Martinez. Choose one for me, James. Complete free pick. Zaha this week. Mark Parker says, morning James, would you take out Perisic for Trent for free? No, not this week. Owen Broadley says, hit the like button, lads. James, Field, Solanke or Wilson, love your work, mate. I think you start Wilson, mate, and it'll be what it'll be. Christian says, who to start, Cresswell or Trippier? That's Trips, mate. Till Dudler, start Martial or Andreas. That's Martial. Pranjal says, you could easily play the bench boost this week, if not for the doubles later. To be honest, I do have a strong bench this week. I'm well aware that bench could easily get me 20 or so. Well aware. I'm well aware that bench could get me more than my starting lineup, to be honest. Right, let's try and keep an eye on what the information is. Patrons that are ready for me, please, be much appreciated. Ajay says, Dunk or Gay. They're right next to each other on the bench in dilemmas below me. Wait for it to come round, I think, to page 4. Will Nicholas says, Wilson, Jesus or Doherty to Perisic. I'd move Doherty to Perisic, personally. IN70L, Defo, Trippier, John Nguyen. Hi, James. Hello, mate. Schnapp says, Gay or Perisic. I play Perisic, and if I was buying, I'd buy Perisic for the 1 week. John Nguyen says, hi, James. Nunes and Foden to Salah, 4.5 million striker. Play Gay, Salah as vice captain. I wouldn't bother, mate. It's like a desperation to get Mo and you're not even going to captain him. Wouldn't bother, mate. Kartik Raja says, have you tried any Indian food, mate? If yes, what's your take on it? Too fucking hot for me, mate. Love it otherwise. Wife loves it. Pupala says, lovely content as always. Wilson and Mitrovic to Darwin and Martial, -4. Just wish we knew if Wilson would play, right? Okay, might have news incoming. This is a piss take. It's so funny. So basically, he's got an Instagram video and it's just loads of popular people saying they're not starting. Haaland starts. Haaland starts is the news. That's a brilliant video. Fair game to him, mate. He's just made everyone watch that for ages. And at the end, he's got an impersonation of Haaland with a Cockney accent and his mouth moves. He says he's asked his mate Phil to do it. His mate Phil's unavailable. And at the end, it's Haaland saying, I've got a dodgy knee, but I'm starting. So that appears to be the important news from that, is what I've taken from it, is that Haaland starts. I've got someone else saying Foden starts. Foden starts as well. I missed that bit about Foden. I literally didn't even see it, but everyone's saying to me Foden starts as well, which I didn't notice in the video. It's probably where I was talking to you guys at the same time. That is such a good video. Fair game to him, mate. So it sounds like Foden and Haaland start. So that's me doing nothing in my team. I'm worried that bench is going to go big, to be totally honest. So, yeah, best 1 week punt at 8 million or so, Phil Foden. So it looks right now to me, mate. Right, let's try and bash through these questions. Ash88 Gloss says, Burrington Madison. Thanks to the patrons who messaged me, by the way, guys. There was way too many of you to mention, but I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Chris Tell is one I didn't mention earlier. Thank you, mate. Rob, Craig, thanks, guys. Really, really appreciate that. Super stuff. That's it, I think. So, Haaland and Foden start. We believe him. As I said, I didn't hear anything about Foden, but all the guys are saying Foden starts. As I said, it was probably happening when I was talking. He said that Foden starts. So, Foden and Haaland start is the news from Team News and Ticks on Instagram, who's just about to hit 100,000 followers on there, I should imagine. Those were the only players mentioned, by the way. Right, Ash88 Gloss, Burrington Madison or Zaha for a hit. Bowen bang off form. Wouldn't bother, mate. That could destabilise Leicester a little bit with no James Justin out there. Obviously, Luke Thomas, we think, will play left back. Bowen might even have an enjoyable day. Andreas Olympios, 2 free transfers. Mitrovic and Wilson to Nunes and Kiefer Moore. Only 5.5 million left after Nunes. 2 frees. Okay, fine. Jake Atherton, thank you for retracting. CHZN84, James, great content as usual. Thank you. Maestri18, must have missed it. Could you please give reasoning for Kanate over Schumacher? Thanks and good luck, mate. Yeah, I think Kanate will get a 6-pointer today, and I think Schumacher will probably get a 1 and come off after 55 minutes. There you go. Look, it's an unusual one for me. I do really fancy Liverpool for the clean sheet today. And the West Ham are just not quite right at the moment. That's it. That's it. If you had a preference for Schumacher over Kanate, I couldn't argue it, right? I mean, it's almost just paining myself more. Going double Liverpool defence, ridiculous, right? It's a huge differential for me if it comes in today. Joseph Miglerine says, hi, Dallo and DCO out for my team. Who do I bring in? Nunes and whatever's left. Nico Williams, whatever. Kaliash says, hi, James. Would you use a free transfer to go Saka to Maddison? No. Alternative is, would you use free transfer to cover Wilson in case he's injured? Yeah, that's the advice, mate. Also says thinking Zinchenko for Dalot. That's certainly a good move. Mark Parker, City News, apparently 10:45. Yep, we've got. For those joining in late, we think Foden and Haaland start according to Team News and Ticks. Mark Parker, City News, apparently that's just repeating it just for the sake of it now. I wonder if the website's crashed, by the way. It does appear to be working for those who want to buy Erling Haaland at the moment. Noah says start Botman or Doherty. That's a Botman, mate. Frederick says, would Bailey in for Andreas be a decent punt? I've limited budget because I'm happy with the core of my team. I think starting Andreas is perfectly reasonable this week, mate. Likely to be on the pens and Mitrovic out. It's a no from me. Terry Feezy says, hi James, play 1, bench 1, Benrahma or Solanke. I play Solanke, mate. Noah says start Awani or Gaye. I feel really sorry for people who went for Awani. I was really considering it myself, actually. I don't think he starts. I think Gaye, reluctantly. CHZen84, I think I've already covered your question, mate. Galazza says Doherty to Van Dijk. Yeah, reasonable if you can afford it, mate. James Nelson says, huge thanks for all you do, James. Most enjoyable part of the World Cup for me will be your daily podcast. Smash a like, everyone. Yeah, streams 8 a.m. for the first 6 midweek days where there's 10 a.m. kickoffs so we can get content out before the football, because I don't know about you, but I want to watch the football. And we've got watch-alongs on all of those days for our intermediate and advanced tier patrons as well, which will kick off with Senegal and Holland straight after England's first game as well. Machinda says, England or Pakistan on Sunday? That's cricket, mate. I don't know, mate. But if England play like they did on Thursday, they'll win, won't they? James Brennan says, hi, James. Hope you're well. Where would Benrahma be on the bench in dilemmas? Cheers. Near the top. Near the top. I think behind Schumacher, above Bailey, around Tony area, somewhere there. Jonathan Loredo says, Ward or Sanchez today? I'd play Sanchez, mate. Ben M. Cheers as always. I had a moment of madness and took a hit from Mitrovic and Wilson to Jesus and Solanke. Miss Nunes by 0.1, already regretting. Pooh. Don't regret, just play, mate. Hivas 9, hi, play Shaw or Konate? I'd play Konate. Maestri 18, hey James, love your content. Have Schumacher, get Konate in and bench Schumacher, or get Martial instead of Schumacher. Yeah, follow the same option I've done, mate. Buy Konate. Andy P, hey, good looking. Go to Specsavers, pal. What's happened to the Morpay guy? I don't know, someone mentioned him though. Hivas 9 says play Shaw or Konate. Once is enough, mate. If I see it again, you are expelled. Ahmad says start Dyer, Watkins or Gross. Watkins out of that. Chris Tellins, Haaland and Phone starting. Yep, we've got it. Looks like we're getting up to date here. Dan saying the same. Isaac Stairs saying the same. Stu M, 1 week goalkeeper punt. Got Raya and 3 Liverpool Man City already. Ramsdale is the, if you can afford. If not, Sanchez maybe. I don't think there'll be a huge number of clean sheets this week for the non-premium teams. Yeah, Dan Isaac got it. Jan Remy, yep, got it. Cyril, no, there's no KDB news. Yep, cheers Dan. Joe Milkshake, cheers. Kartik says servers down. I don't think it is at the moment, actually. I think it's fine. Somewhat reluctant to refresh it because I know other people need it more than me, but I mean, the team looks great this week, to be honest, which means it's going to do absolutely fucking terrible, isn't it? Blair H says, whoo, Team News and Ticks is your leak, mate. Hasn't been wrong so far. Ben Douglas says, sell Wilson for Martial. We've discussed this a lot. Fine. Zubin says, Wilson to Jesus. Also fine. Luke Curtis, how much will Haaland rise before the price freeze? Well, he won't, because it's only going to be transfers in the next 6 minutes or so probably won't. MindJ777, start Doherty or Stupinan. I'd go with Stupinan personally, mate. Ryan Renfrey, Ward, Gay, Castagne and Andres P. Very tempted to bench boost. Look, don't do it. I've got a great option, but listen, honestly, there's every chance that the whole of game week 7 will get moved to the same place and all 20 teams will have a double game week. So whatever looks great, if that happens, you don't even need to prepare for a bench boost this season. You just need to land there and your 4 weakest players are on the bench and you bench boost it, which is great for non-planners. You just land there. All you need to do is make sure you've got 15 regular players. So, it's possibly advisable on unlimited to maybe not have players who are rotational risks as such. But I don't think it will happen till March, April anyway, to be honest, in which case you could even still wildcard and line up for it if that's what you want to do. Most people are not going to need to, though. Zubin, I think we've done. Ash88 Gloss, hope you and Spurs have a great day. Cheers, James. I don't really care if I have a shit day as long as Spurs win, because then that will just be a good day, won't it? Unless the wife wants to give me grief for something. Watchek says, pick 3, Perisic, White, Trippier, Almiron. To start from now to bench White this week. Tough call, but I think that's what I'd do. Jan says, server's probably working because so many made early transfers and had cap set on Haaland and ready to switch it around, but then no need to hit anything. Yeah, it's probably the only people going in now are the people probably obviously completing their transfers, because a lot of people have waited, or obviously those who want to buy Haaland back. Liam Doyle, hi James. Andreas or Doherty's a length man. Andreas, mate. James Brenner, if you had to pick a surprise team to go out in the group stage, who would it be? Of the World Cup? Brazil. I think their group's challenging with Serbia and Switzerland. I don't think they'll go out. And I think most of the major nations will go through. But that's the one I'd pick. I think, obviously, that Germany and Spain have landed in the same group. So there's a little bit of jeopardy for those two, is probably a more obvious answer. You're very welcome, Stu. Billy Anderson, yes, it sounds like Foden is starting. Bivek says, start Martial or Trippier, James, mate. Trips, mate. Billy Anderson, did Wilson to Martial? Good luck. James Brennan also says, Suj doing a World Cup sweepstake for you at work? And if so, who did you get? The answer is yes, and I think it's on Monday, and I'll probably get Wales. Ahmad Jabba says, Gross or Dyer? To start, it'd be Gross for me, mate. Relic returns, Ben White or Luke Shaw? I'd play White. Ahmed Jabba as the first sub. Still Gross, mate. Watch it says pick 3. We've done that one, mate. Ben Douglas, done Webster to Canate. Bring on a Liverpool clean and a Thunder header. Liam Isa says, didn't Cancelo get suspended? That was for the League Cup, mate. He's available today. As Scott Parks has just said to you in a reply. Thanks for that, Scott. Just tag people if you're replying, mate, so I know I can skip the comment, but much appreciated, Scott. That's it. Questions up to date, mate. You're all covered. No one got anything else they want to... Should I buy Haaland? Chris Davis says, Wilson to Martial for a hit. No, can't be doing that, mate. 3, you want to chance it? Yeah, for a hit. No, not for me. Davos says, start Almiron or Solanke. Almiron. It's very straightforward, mate. Nick Maddiston, morning James, son of Wade here. Slightly easier than last week's deadline. I took Haaland and Foden out last week. Can't afford to get them back, so did Alvarez to Martial. Let's go. Good luck. We don't know that Alvarez is not playing, by the way, just to say. Relic returns. Hi, James. Best Mitrovic replacement. Haaland. It depends what's affordable, right? Solanke's the easy one for me to say, I think, this close to deadline. Ahmed Jabba says, use my bench boost with Dyer, Ward and Gross. Can I be honest, Ahmed? I'd take it off, mate, and you can undo it. I wouldn't do it. If you keep it, like, very best of luck. All prayers to you, mate. I hope you get 30 points. QG123, morning James. You reckon Dyer starts today? He's been very poor since his international cut in October. Certainty, mate, with Romero out, mate. It's actually not an alternative. Hence why he played in midweek. Brett W says, best under 5 million keeper on free transfer. Have Sanchez now. I'd probably stay with that or Ramsdale. Whoop-de-whoop, your squad looking fire. James Brennan says, Ollie skip on a 1 week punt. Yeah, sure, James. Yeah, smash it in. Take a -8 for him. But it's a joke for those who don't understand comedy. Bets one, not that it's that funny. Bets 1604 says, do you have a strong dislike to any other team rivalry aside and why? No, Arsenal's the answer. Michael Wood says, England v Wales score prediction. Who gets out the group? 3-0 Wales after England have won their first 2 and Wales have lost their first 2, and it all really doesn't matter. Cyrus Bernard, do price changes freeze from today? Yes, no transfer will count that's made from now. Deadline has been hit. Tim Crescent says, what's happened to Dyer last few weeks? It's just had a bad period. Really, really bad period. It's as simple as that. Luke Hustosen, chance of Doherty starting, 30%. Right, okay. We'll leave it there. Deadline's gone. If anybody's got any non-FPL questions, smash them in the chat. Happy to get them covered for you over the next 15 minutes or so. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing this week. So, game week review as per usual on Monday, which should you join me for the final game week review for some time. Look forward to that. The rest of the content this week is a little bit up in the air because I need to define it. What I can certainly tell you is this. Wednesday, we will do a Sky Fantasy podcast to kind of close out what's happened and look forward to Sky World Cup. We will, and it will probably be on Thursday or Friday, we will look at the official FIFA World Cup fantasy game as well. One day this week, at least, if not 2 days this week, we will certainly look at the human right element to what's happening in Qatar, their laws against homosexuality and their rights for migrant workers, because that story, and I've been long, we've mentioned it a lot, but I've long felt that this podcast needs to happen right before the tournament, and to be honest, probably Tuesday, probably before we start talking about the fantasy element, but it might not work from a schedule perspective, so that'll be at some point this week. We will do that. I will probably rig the people's poll vote so that you have to vote for it. Patreon podcast, still be Q&A Monday. I don't know the exact schedule as yet, but one of the things I do want to do is look at the 1930 World Cup and the origins of how the World Cup started. I also have an idea around a narration about the 2002 World Cup, which I think would be nice because it's 20 years and it's also the only other World Cup that's been held in Asia. And I've got an idea in my, I don't know if it's viable. I've got an idea in my mind of something that I want to do with that, which will be a podcast, but will involve a lot of audio not done by me necessarily. Let me say that. I can certainly say Paul Meehan, one of our patrons, will be joining me this week for a much due chat about Canada, who have qualified for only their second World Cup, their first since 1986. And we'll talk about a lot of things with him, including Canada's relationship with both sport and football, where they've been hiding, what difference joint hosting the 2026 World Cup is likely to make. Paul is a very, very lovely man who I've spoke to many times on Zoom, and he'll be joining me for that podcast on Patreon this week, which is likely to be Thursday. That's kind of the gist of roughly what the content's going to be. It's going to move to a heavy World Cup focus, obviously. Our advanced tier content, I can certainly say, talking tactics this week will be a look at the problems that England face when, and it's not a slight on either player, and I have to repeat that, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham play together. I'm going to have a look back at England's draw with Germany from the Nations League. It's an issue where they keep getting worked off the side, and it's not a fault of either player. It's a restriction of the system that I want to show. And there'll be plenty of other stuff. 5 minutes added on this week for the advanced tier patrons. I haven't quite decided what I want to do with it yet, but it's likely that I will do a version to preview each group, I think, is how I'm thinking. But let me get through Tottenham today and I'll make kind of final decisions tomorrow. Right, let's have a look at these non-FPL questions. If you came just for the FPL, feel free to disappear. Smash a like. Obviously, if you do want to support our content, www.patreon.com/PlanetFPL. December is free. There is no charge. Our Patreon is free in December. So if you want to sign up this month, you'll obviously charge on entry. You get the rest of this month. You get access to the whole back catalogue. Good time potentially to catch up on the Goodbye to the Lane Tottenham Hotspur audiobook from the 16-17 season. You only got to go in at intermediate tier once. You can listen to all that. Have next month as well, Disappear. Or you could hang on for January, when just because we're bumping everyone up a tier and you also get access to the advanced tier content as well. So www.patreon.com/PlanetFPL if you want to support the show. No one guarantees to make you a better FPL manager. If you just want to kind of buy us a coffee, join in at basic tier and get into our Slack channels, which we've got over 650 patrons in our Slack community at the moment, and it's a really, really nice place, not the cesspit of Twitter, which is about to go to hell because of Elon Musk. So it's nice that we've kind of got this community already in place. Love you, patrons. Right, let's do non-FPL. Nick says, no question for me, just wishing everyone all the best for the game week now the deadline has passed. Correct. Jan Remy Nielsen says, is not England in the only group where all nations in top 20 in the FIFA ranking? Perhaps a harder group than perceived. Are they all in the... I mean, FIFA rankings don't mean fuck all, mate. I wouldn't even know. To confirm, Ahmad said he took the bench boost off. Listen, mate, if they do really well this week, and they could, fine. But I think it's the right decision, mate. But I wish you luck. Listen, as always, play it your way. But when I'm asked a question, I can only answer the question that's posed to me, right? Relic returns. Says, do you think Conte will be Spurs manager starting next season? Yes, they probably do. Subject to him getting promised shit, right? Pushcar says deadline passed. Liam Doyle, thank you for responding, Liam. Appreciate that. Ali Boskurt says, hi James, bought in Foden, Firmino for Martin and Alvarez, captain De Bruyne. Thoughts? My thoughts are the deadline's passed. Thanks for your message, Ali. I really don't care about FPL now, and nobody should for the next 5 weeks or so. Asil Salem says, hi James, when will the World Cup content start? Excited for your expert analysis. Kind of from Tuesday, I guess, to be totally honest. Dana J says, I went with Perisic and Andreas instead of Anderson and Jesus. What do you think? I think the deadline's gone, and I really can never be bothered to comment on teams once the deadline's gone. Like, great, you made your decisions for a reason. Well done. Kevin Ryan wants to wish everyone good luck. Good luck, Kevin. Andrew Grondin nearly overslept for the news, but didn't oversleep to smash that like. Cheers, Andrew. Smash a like. We should get to a point before the stream ends where there's more likes than viewers, because people start, he's not talking about FPL anymore, I'm going to go now. So that's what should always happen on these streams. When I finish, there should be more likes than people. Asil says, World Cup top scorer initial predictions. Kylian Mbappe. Jan Remy Nielsen, non-FPL. He's not England in the own. I've just done this, mate. Fucking hell. Liam H says, heading to London now to watch Spurs. Best beer to have in the stadium. Get yourself to the Beavertown bar, mate. Get yourself a bit of neck oil or something. You'll find that in the South Stand, mate. Lower tier. To the right-hand side. Right-hand corners, it's on the corner. It's on the southeast corner. There you go. Luke Stevenson, what do you and Suj do for a living? Yeah, celebrate good times. Come on. Suj runs multiple shady businesses that have links with Qatar. No, not really. Suj runs multiple businesses, primarily a packaging company, and also he's head of the state of the Planet FPL community. I am content creator / provider all day, every day, basically. So, yeah, I do this full time, and I'm very, very blessed to do so, which is why, if you like the content, oh, James, why don't you have super chats and all this shit? Well, one, I get through all the questions most of the time anyway. And two, the way to support and feed my family is through Patreon. It's not on YouTube at the moment until I can't get through all the questions, in which case I might have to start the super chat. Andy P, says, thanks for the content. James, smash those likes, guys. Question, who is the most underrated player currently in the Premier League? Who's the most underrated player currently in the Premier League? It's very difficult to equate that, because I could pick someone at the top who I think is very, very underrated. In terms of people don't realise quite how good he is. Or I could pick someone lower down who perhaps people are less aware of in terms of their qualities. The name why I've been rambling on to give myself time to think is still Bruno Guimaraes. I think he's the best midfielder in the league. I think he walks into the City team, walks into the Liverpool team. I think he's incredible. So I'm going to say Bruno Guimaraes is still underrated. Ray Qureshi says, hey James, predicted final for the World Cup and winner. England versus Iran, winner Iran. No, I've not looked at the path properly, to be totally honest, but I'm going to say France to win it. I still think. I'm not as high on the two South American teams as I know many others are. I'm not. One of them reasons might be I don't think they're going to start Bruno Guimaraes. I'm going to say France versus someone really surprising, like a Switzerland or something. I think France will win it. That's what I'm leaning to. But I must say, Ray, I've not done the proper research yet, which after today is going to be a lot of my week. Lewis Conley, have a big final today. Any advice? Yeah, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Whether you're playing or watching, I don't know the answer, Lewis. But enjoy it. You may never have another one, which is kind of a horrible thing to think, but it's true. Whenever Tottenham have a big occasion, I always think this might be the last time. You never know what's around the corner. So the most important thing, mate, is to enjoy it. Atul Balaji says, hey James, now that there's no FPL for weeks, I want to ask you something. After all these years, do you actually like FPL? Don't worry, we don't need to tell Suj if it's a no. I think I like it more than Suj does, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't produce the content if I wasn't into FPL. I think since we started to now, my interest in it is way more tilted towards the content side of things than actually giving a toss what my team does. It's not important to me. Nothing changes in my life whether I finish 10,000 or 1 million. Literally nothing. It makes no difference. It's just not that important. And I realise that I'm probably rare with most of you. It does affect. Now you understand that. Do I enjoy the side of the game? Yeah, I find it fascinating, particularly when we get into the second half and I can go through the strategy stuff and try and anticipate which doubles will go well where and stuff. Yeah, I love all that. So yeah, of course I enjoy the game. If I didn't enjoy it at all, I wouldn't do it. I would just go to Suj, fuck this shit. Let's just do football now, and that's what we do. So no, I do enjoy it, mate. Martin Boyle says, penciled in the Sky World Cup draft. Not at all, Martin. But we'll do a pod on it, as I said, on Wednesday. I think it'll be very template. One of the things I did notice, I added a sheet to my planner, which you can also get if you support us on Patreon from basic tier, was very interestingly that the majority of the, let's say the top 8 teams in the betting for the World Cup, the majority of them, their most difficult game is the second. The majority of them. Which is really interesting. I'd not quite, until I put it on paper, not quite realised that. So I think it involves a template start, would be my take. Have I put a draft together? No. But I think, it's reasonable to think the likes of Harry, Mbappe, De Bruyne are going to find their way in there, which they're already proving popular. Pushkar says, what if Harry starts supporting another Big Six club, say Man City, due to their success? He can do that. He's entitled to do what he wants. He's never getting fucking taken, and he's never getting bought any of their merchandise. And then he'll realise he's made a mistake, won't he? George says, will FPL confirm full details on what happens over the World Cup, i.e. price changes? Yes, George, they have, mate. So no transfers that happen now are going to impact price changes. There will be price changes tonight based on the transfers that were made between last night's price changes and the deadline today. So, looking at statistics this morning. In fact, let's have a quick look at FPL statistics. I know this is FPL, but actually this is worthwhile saying. All them that left are going to be gutted now, won't they? We'll do a bit of strategy, yeah? So, I will give you an example, right? So, I've got currently, if I go to my transfer page, okay, which I can't, obviously. Of course I can't, for games updating. But I've only got 3 or 4 players, I think, who I'm not up in value. Those players that I'm up in value, whether I think I'm going to have them on unlimited or not, they're going to stay. I ain't doing shit with them. Because I might change my mind in the next month. Think, actually, I do want that player. Oh, and I've got value up in them. So, according to FPL statistics right now, there are a number of players who could go up in price tonight. And there's no point looking kind of from this point onwards. So, let me give you an example. I have Schumacher in my team, right? I got no value in Schumacher. Sam Greenwood of Leeds is 4.2 and he's likely to go up in price tonight. Right, he's going in. That also allows me to go from Kanate, well, I don't need the money, but Kanate I have no value in. Right, Ben White looks like he might go up in price. Andy Robertson looks like he might go up in price. I got Trent, I got no value in. I'm going to move Trent to Robertson tonight. Kieran Trippier I own. Sandro Martinez also currently expected maybe to go up in price. And a couple on the fringes, like Almiron. Like I'll probably go Foden to Almiron, for example, as well. Because I've got no value in Foden now. And Foden's probably going to drop in price. So players anticipated to drop in price. Foden, Mitrovic, Cucurella, Sinistera, Paulinho, Sarr. So a few of you might have Sarr. A few of you might have Cucurella. A few of you have held on to Mitrovic. Obviously, a number of you have Foden. If you've got Phil Foden and you bought him at 8.3, then you should sell him. Or 8.3 or above. Then you should sell him. I bought him at 8.3. That's his price now. He is likely to drop to 8.2 tonight. I'm going to sell him today. In fact, I'm gonna sell these players now. When I finish this stream, makes complete sense. And then I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing with it. I ain't touching the FPL website in terms of transfers until we get into like the final week. I'll make my decisions then. So there's a little bit of advice for you if I think what to do. Remember, your transfer cannot now, when the game reopens, cannot affect these players' price changes. Have a look at FPL statistics or obviously Fantasy Football Fix and get players in today who may go up in price and sell players who you may lose value in. Simple. And then that's it. Then leave it. Chris Davis, 88, says, hi James, prediction on top goals for the World Cup. I've done this, but thanks, Chris. Ian says, favourite X-Files episode storyline. I've said this before. Eugene Victor Teams is what got me into it, mate. Brilliant. Josh Teddin says, FPL done until Xmas. Thanks for all the content this year, James. Not playing World Cup, but I will listen to the pods. Just love the content you and Suj keep producing. Keep smashing it, mate. I should have added say. So I don't know what we're going to do in the second week yet, but in the first week, so from the 21st to the 25th, I'll be doing streams at 8 a.m. They're just going to be half hour. I'm going to turn that out, spin it into an audio quite quickly, so people, if they want, can blag off the first hour of work in the UK and listen to it before the first game. That's the plan, and then we're going to do watch-alongs. So me and Suj are doing Holland-Senegal, 4 p.m. the first day. Peter Featherstone, FPL team, is going to do Argentina-Saudi Arabia, 10 a.m. on the Tuesday with me. Clayton from the AFC Biteside podcast, he's going to be joining me on Wednesday for Germany-Japan. On the Thursday, Nico, the video editor, is going to do Portugal-Ghana with me. Friday, Adam Pritchard's going to join me for Wales versus Iran, Friday morning. And the following Monday, Suj is going to join me again for Brazil versus Switzerland. How we're going to do the content after that, I haven't a clue. And I'm not going to think about it till we've done the first couple of days where I'm doing a stream at 8 o'clock in the morning and then watching all the football all day and how that looks. But it will probably, after the 28th, probably refer back to a more kind of normal routine. Like, we probably will have a group stage review podcast, I should imagine, that we'll do once the whole of the group stage is finished. But we'll get there, and it will slowly evolve back to FPL. I know I've promised our patrons we'd do some EFL content as well. We will be doing that. Isaac Stairs says, as a Chelsea fan, I'm not sold on Potter. What is it he excels at that puts him on a level to challenge with the elite managers? Because I don't see it personally. That I think he needs time. I think there was always a risk to this, in the sense that Chelsea are committed to a changed model within the football club. I think tactically he's very astute. Doesn't mean he gets it right all the time. I think it's probably a big adaptation that the Chelsea players are facing at the moment. And do you know what, Isaac? It might be that the job is too big for him. It's possible. There's no way of knowing. But I think I look at things like the ownership that he took in, say, the Manchester United game, where he knew he got it wrong and he didn't wait and he fixed it. He fixed the problem. So I know that there's something there in terms of manager. Is he capable of being an elite? There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing until he's given that opportunity, mate. But I think I wouldn't even be judging him now till the end of the season and see how you feel then, mate. No. Sorry, it's just a message that just got come through. Ali Boskurt says, hi James, England World Cup question. I've seen the squad yesterday. I have a feeling we will play three at the back again. Our defenders worry me. Who do you think will start at back five? Many thanks. If he plays a back five, I think it'll be, his first choice will be Trippier and Shaw as wing backs. Maguire, Stones +1. And I think to start with, that +1 will probably be Eric Dyer. And then when Kyle Walker's fit, it'll probably be Stones back central and Kyle Walker. That would be my best guess. Liam Doyle says, hi James, first time playing Sky Fantasy Football this year and really enjoyed it. Got a bit worried when you mentioned it might have been the last year of Sky this year. Why is that? Thanks. We've just heard rumours that it's going to potentially be difficult to maintain. The fact they're doing the World Cup games, great news. And also the fact that their own fucking channel has been promoting FPL so much, right? So it's really strange. I find it really bizarre that they've got their game with their own format and they're not promoting it. I find it weird. Or maybe they just think they can't compete with FPL. But I don't think they have to compete with FPL. What they're trying to do is get new users to open betting accounts, really. It's really strange from a marketing perspective. So the fact they've launched a World Cup game makes me feel far more confident that the Sky game will continue. Kevin Ryan says what Josh said. Thank you very much. Kevin Pushkar says, what are the demerits? It's a difficult word for me, that. Of having basketball like stop clock in football. It would reduce foul baiting, time wasting, etc. So about a year ago, me and Suj did a podcast exactly this, imagining what football would look like if it was on the clock, and we detailed experiments and trials that have been done. We looked at data in terms of minutes in play and stuff. We kind of think the sweet spot is probably 30 minutes per half rather than 25. That's only 50 minutes of play. Good Premier League games, i.e. those featuring Manchester City, will normally have the ball in play for an hour. The lowest last year was 43 minutes. Now, in theory, if we say, okay, 60 minutes in play, that fixture last year was West Ham against Brentford. In theory, if we take 60 as a good number, that game should have had about 17 minutes added time. No, it didn't. And actually, I think in the fourth of those, Brentford scored their winning goal, ironically. But there's disparity. There's certainly disparity between games playing equal number of minutes. So one is, the ball is in the pitch exactly the same time for everyone. That should be a positive. I think the biggest downside to putting football on a clock is there's no rush. And I think at the end of the day, what we love about football is its tempo, right? Why have multi-balls? If football's on a clock, why rush to take throw-ins? You're not time wasting anymore, are you? And I think there's a real danger that the game would be a lot slower. And I think what needs to happen is we need probably something where it's probably taken out the referee's hands in terms of time added on. Someone else makes the decision on time added on, I think. So the referee can just concentrate on the football. Concentrate on the football, penalise people in the same way that happens for time wasting, arguably even more, and somebody else watching the game takes responsibility on how much added time is added on. And that's what we really need to do, right? We need to, when we've got these teams who come and they just don't want to do anything but waste time. Remember, football is a paid-for spectacle, right? Where people generally are looking to be entertained. We start smashing up the end of the games. No, fuck you. There's 12 minutes added time for taking a piss. It's only then that the ship will stop. Otherwise, teams will always do it. And I think even if you put the game on a clock, let's just say, okay, bad example, I'm going to use a non-Premier League team. Let's say a Watford go to a Man City, right? And they want a time waste. And Watford's not the sort of team that maybe would do that. So I'm happy using them as an example. Let's say they went there and they wanted to time waste. And there was a clock, right? You can still use the clock to your advantage by just slowing the momentum of the game, and still frustrating. It's still going to, even with a clock, I think you still get teams time wasting. It's how the ball's in play, but you still just slow the momentum, kill the vibe of the crowd, the opposition, etc. The honest answer is I don't think it works. I don't think it works yet, until something could be put in place that would still encourage teams to play quickly. Because you wouldn't. I actually think you might end up with a fairer product. I'm not sure you end up with a better product. Dara says, sorry James, done the Premier League 11, not going to the World Cup. Don't know if you have any time, but my team is... Okay, you've done a team that's not going to the World Cup. De Gea, James, Matip, me, Robertson, Jorginho, Kante, Thiago, Diaz, Haaland, Salah. Best luck. Looks great, mate. Jonathan says, hey, mate, how did Nunes and Konate look at the game last week? Nunes looked like a handful first 20 minutes. Konate looked good at times. Just interested to hear your point of view from an opposition fan. Cheers. Well, I think Nunes is going to play basically left wing. He's not overly suitable. Definitely a talent there. His movement's good. I've spoken about that a lot. He can look a bit clumsy, I think, with his touch sometimes and his awareness, but he's definitely a talented player there. I think Konate has the attributes to be an extremely good centre-back, and Liverpool are certainly better off for having him back. Atul says, hey James, what do you know about Julian Lopetegui? His videos have made me more optimistic than I was, but there's a decent chance we're going to be bottom of the league come the restart after the World Cup. Yes, mate. Any result for Nottingham Forest today, and you go into that game tonight, bottom. I don't think any of us really expect you to get anything, so yeah, there's every chance. And then that makes you bottom at Christmas, and we know what that means. Yeah, I saw the video yesterday. I used the reference on one of the pods we did yesterday that I think he's got an aura and a presence about him, which is good. It's very experienced. I think it's very calm. In terms of adapting to the Premier League, who knows? It's new, isn't it, right? But I don't think it's a bad appointment. Rob Pick says, Carragher said this week there was only Romero in the Spurs defence that gets in the top 6 team and Hugo not good enough to challenge consistently for English honours. Fair or harsh was on overlap. I'm just trying to run through the teams and think. No, I think it's probably fair. Hugo needs replacing soon. I think we've known that for a while. I still think, like, would I rather have Lloris or Ramsdale in goal? I realise Ramsdale's distribution is much better. I'd still rather have Hugo in goal, personally. So Hugo, take or leave. Would Dyer or Davis get into any of the top 6? That's probably a no, in fairness. So it's probably fair comment, Rob, to be honest. Frankie the Gent says, hi James, I'll be boycotting the World Cup, so I'll be tuning out for a while. Thanks for all the excellent content. Have a happy Christmas. Good luck to you, mate. Sebastian Castro says, hi James, have a lovely Saturday. And I've lost the comment. Have a lovely Saturday. Which Scandinavian countries have you visited? Which country would you like to travel to? None. Copenhagen in the Champions League would have been good. It's the honest answer. No, none. I would love to go to Scandinavia. Ben Edinson says, I know he was never going to go, but I really would have liked Henry at Brentford to be taken to the World Cup's left back cover. I've mentioned it a number of times. He should have been in the last squad. Should have looked at him. James Brenner says, are you going to do any team-specific podcasts this week for the World Cup? We'd love to hear your thoughts on Holland specifically. No, I mean, there's too much and it's too quick of a turnaround. Like I said, I'm probably going to do individual bits for the advanced tier patrons on 5 minutes added on, which kind of give just overviews of key players, likely tactical systems, stuff like that. I know there was a lot of anger about the Dutch squad yesterday, but I've not looked into it properly over the last 24 hours. Ryan Renfrey says, been listening to your Goodbye to the Lane podcast as recommended by yourself. Really enjoying it. Yes, mate. The maddest bit of content I ever did. Dara says, also, did you watch the FIFA scandal on Netflix? No, I have not, but would like to. Ryan says, what went wrong with Dele Alli? Forgot how good he was that season. Hamstring injuries, mate. Hamstring injuries, and it's, you could look at someone like Haaland right now and think he's going to smash every record going. It'll take 2 serious hamstring injuries and he will not be the same player. And we've seen it happen so many times before. Michael Owen is a great example who had bad hamstring injuries. And then by kind of mid-20s, you're like, what was he? Michael Owen won the Ballon d'Or, or European Footballer of the Year in 2001. And Dele Alli, at the end of that season, was considered by the CIES Observatory as the most valuable footballer in the world. Hamstring injuries are unbelievably destabilising for anybody that has a yard of pace. And that's the reality. And I will stand by this hill till I die, Ryan, but that is the number one reason rather than off-field stuff. And it might be that that's affected his mentality and his confidence. But I'm absolutely certain that the hamstring injuries he's had were incredibly destabilising. Static says, would you trade Saliba and Jesus for Romero and Kane? No. No, I wouldn't. I understand what you're saying, but it's... which two would I rather have in my team? As in, it's World Cup final tomorrow. Which two are you picking to play for, random neutral Argentina or whatever? Probably Saliba and Jesus, to be totally honest. I think Romero's had injury problems this year, has not helped and stuff. And it's probably a preference in me that Harry can't press anymore. And I would take Jesus' defensive role over Kane's offensive. But I mean, Kane versus Jesus, you're going to pick Harry, aren't you, really, as a 1v1 because of the goal scoring potential. In terms of, would I trade them? No. I love my players. I love the two boys. Elron Cupboard says, how much would a young Michael Owen be worth nowadays? There you go. Michael Owen 2001 after the hat-trick in Munich and stuff, 150? It's probably, yeah. He would have been the most in-demand striker around, I think. Jonathan Brown shouted, come on you Spurs for the first time at New Zealand wedding today to back up the best man speech. Yes! Claire says, we love you too, James. Honestly, sign up if you haven't already. This man's the hardest worker in FPL. You will learn so much listening to his content. Claire, that sounds like it. I owe you another drink, mate. Thank you. Asil Salem says, best international tournament you have ever watched. I tell you what, I run through World Cups. 94 without England wasn't. I really liked France 98. I thought 02 was a good tournament. I think 06 had a kind of, I don't know, a star quality vibe, I think. 2010 I hated. Because I couldn't watch any game in 2010 without thinking about that fucking beach volleyball that they were playing with. 2014, I think, to be honest, the 2018 World Cup was really good, actually. Euros. It's probably going to be one of the ones with the older style tournament. I don't know. I don't any of the Euros. I'd probably say Euro 96 because it was my own, but actually wasn't a high scoring tournament. But it was the first one with the new 16 team tournament. So what we went through that summer here, living here, that probably still has to be that. World Cup, I'm gonna say I've 98. I think I'm gonna say. Who is next? Relic returns. What's the Premier League ground outside of Spurs? You're gonna say best. I still think, having been to Old Trafford a couple of weeks ago, it still maintains a fantastic aura. Is it as aesthetically pleasing inside now? Not so much. It'd be interesting to see what Liverpool do with Anfield Road. St James's great stadium. Etihad's good stadium. It's loads. I can't be saying West Ham, and it's not even a dig. It is an athletic stadium. Sorry. I think it's every right for me to think that Tottenham's is the best. Nick Sharp says, have you seen the FIFA documentary on Netflix? Them guys are corrupt as can be. None of this surprises me. I want to. Addy Tor says, hi James, what was your favourite World Cup? It's interesting. Second time I got asked. I think you've got the answer for that, Addy. Tom Burke says, just seen Christopher Nkunku is 151 for top goal scorer. Obviously great French squad, selection issue, but he could light up the cup. False. Minutes an issue, I should imagine, mate. You got Griezmann and Mbappe and Benzema. It'd be difficult to fit in, I think. Nick says, hot take. Is he even French? Got me questioning if he's even French now, Christopher Nkunku. Is he French? Is he in the squad? Really got me questioning now if he is French, isn't he? Well, I've had a proper mind blank now. I just can't picture him in a France shirt. Yes, he is French. Why am I doubting myself? He has 8 caps so far. Nick says, hot take, controversial opinion for the second, just over half of the season. Hot take, controversial opinion. Arsenal really can win this league. As much as it pains me. Liverpool will come back very strong, I think. I guess the kind of hot take might be that Newcastle run out of legs a little bit. If you would deem it as that. Well, I see the stream's got more likes than viewers now. I can probably end this now. God, there's a lot still to go through. Like, no more questions, please, guys. Should we have a look at the Man City team? That's been going on for a while now, isn't it? Man City team. Let's have a look. So the Man City team is Ederson, Stones, Akanji, Laporte, Cancelo, Rodri, De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo, Haaland, Foden, Grealish, Alvarez, Diaz, Mahrez, all substitutes. I'm expecting a back 5 from Brentford, and that's what we've got. Roslev, Zanka, me, Pinnock, Henry, Onyeka, Janelt, Jensen, and Bumo, Tony. Okay, cool. Right, let's just AM, we got the message. Cheers, thanks. Let's run through a few of these quickly, and then we'll finish them off. I'm just gonna do the rest of these really quick fire, guys, so I can piss off and take the little man out before I go to Spurs. Where are we in the stream? Ellis says, all this talk of bench boost making me sad after accidentally playing it in blank game week early in the season. Finger caught the button when saving the team and I didn't realise. Oh no. Ben Costin, who would you like to win the World Cup apart from England? Do you prefer the countries with Spurs players? Not this time. I want them to come back and play for my team. No, I mean, I couldn't give a toss, to tell you the truth. I would like Messi to win it. It's fair to say. So that. Andrew Grondin, and here I thought Sidge's full-time job was terrorising Trossard FPO owners with his famous jinxes. Fancy Connection says, has there ever been a player in the Tottenham squad ever where you don't understand how it didn't work out? Perspective, Shevchenko and Torres didn't work out for me when I wanted them to. Yeah, it's loads. I'm just trying to run through teams. I think Rebroff springs to mind, and just that was like, wow, we've bought a proper forward there. Didn't work, just didn't work. And to be honest, the modern version is Ndombele, and Lo Celso, who are both good footballers. I mean, Lo Celso's difficult to fathom because it's nothing wrong with him as a player. Works hard, unlike Ndombele, works hard, puts the work in, all that. It just didn't work for him at Tottenham. Under all the managers, didn't work under any of them. And Ndombele is a joke because he has all the ability. Rebroff's the one from the past. I think it's probably comparable to the ones you're saying. That, yeah, strange one. Ryan Renfrey, did you hear about the head injury to Alex Fletcher playing for Bath? Surely what advertising boards are made of needs looking into all levels of football. Yeah, I did, unfortunately. And I did actually have a DM ask me if we could do a podcast on it. And I said, I don't really know what I can do as a podcast for half hour to say that. But yeah, there is a danger to footballers through many things around the perimeter of a football pitch that arguably needs looking at, where we need some sort of cushioning impact or something. But advertising wins first, doesn't it? Unfortunately, but that's not going to be the case, unfortunately. And I've not obviously not seen the incident of what happened at Bath. It's probably just a case it's too close to the pitch, and he's probably saying, unfortunately, it's probably something really unfortunate. It's never happened before, and never going to happen again, unfortunately. But could we do with something? Yeah, there are certain stadiums, I think, Old Trafford's one, where on the near side, where they kind of come down the hill, and actually behind the goal at the main stand at Tottenham, for the player's perspective, it's arguably too close, where you are just going to go down a hill. Whether they're going down the hill helps with the impact on, I have no idea, actually. Advertising will win, I'm afraid to say. Keith Rowley says, morning James. Pete Carroll, if England get knocked out, is there any other countries you'd adopt to cheer on the World Cup? I'd enjoy the football, mate, to be honest. Jonathan Gordon, who else is old enough to remember the Sun Dream Team when you had a phone number and enter your team via a code? The game still exists. Just a dad posting stuff. I used to do the Telegraph one in the mid-90s. You had to post off your transfers, check the results in the paper. Addy Tor says, really enjoyed the concussion podcast. Should players who pretend they have a head injury get booked to help with the seriousness of head injuries? So we did a podcast on Patreon called The Invisible Injury Concussion in the week. The problem with that, Addy, is how do you prove it? How do you prove that someone's faking a head injury? I don't know. If you can answer that, then maybe you can get somewhere. Mo says, who is taking over Liverpool, mate? Are you worried if they get serious investment? Am I worried? No. I mean, Liverpool have been better than my team for a good 5-6 years anyway, so it won't be no different to normal. Am I worried about them? No. If they get the investment, they get the investment, right? Maybe it'll be my team one day in the future. If they get it, they get it. I'll sleep the same, mate. Carl Bugler says, hit the like, people, and enjoy the football over the weekend. James and gang, see you all in a month or so. Mr. Lucian's looking for a Darwin Hall. Will Shaw says, hey James, how do you think price rises will play out considering prices don't lock until tomorrow? I did cover this a good 10-15 minutes or so ago, but thanks for the question, Will. Richard S. Will Kulusevski start? I'm going to say no, actually, but I won't be surprised if he does. Agent 4500, this is my reality. Could Foden captain Bernardo? KDB will outset no Haaland. Not doing FPL now, mate. Ray Koresh, you fancy Belgium as a dark horse in the tournament, James? Not overly, to be honest. Just a dad posting stuff. It could, but I'd be hiding in a hole somewhere if it didn't have Salah and Haaland. Pawan said Trossard Martinelli. You're about 38 minutes after the deadline, mate. Mo says, can you do a pod on Man City's incredible off-field commercial revenue? Somehow none make more than United. We did a podcast on them about 8 weeks ago on Man City on Patreon about this 8x bet company they've got a partnership with, which they don't exist basically. Yep. Patreon, we do the proper content as well. Just a dad posting stuff. Always a pleasure, James. Love the content you provide. Great knowledge of the game and not just FPL. Thanks once more for all your efforts. Thank you, mate. Colin Bugler says Ray Denmark for me. Yeah, another one to keep an eye on. And they might even find that whose group are Denmark in? Is it France's, isn't it? Yeah. They'll give France a game. They beat France last a couple of months ago. Mr. Lucian says Uruguay chaos horse with Darwin and Suarez up top and Edison Cavani. Right, I'm going to leave it there because this stream's been much longer than it normally is. Love you all. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. It's the last weekend of Premier League football for a long time. Enjoy it. So you'll be back with me for the Gameweek review on Monday. Smash a like, hit the sub button on your way out. Ciao for now, everyone.